Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn. I run the services at MedComms networking.com. So information, resources, activities for people who work across the globe in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, and so on. One of the great things we can do with technology these days, we can have these webinars where we've got another good international audience today. We can bring panelists in from all over to talk about topics of interest to MedComms. We record them and put them on NetworkPharma TV. You'll find hundreds of videos over there now. Today, we're going to talk about pro bono work in and around medical communications. I'm not going to steal your thunder, guys. I'm just going to basically ask you to introduce yourself. We're going to go through a presentation and have some open Q&A. Liz, I'm handing over to you. Go.
Thanks, Peter. Just share my slides. So yes, thanks very much. We are talking about the power of pro bono in medical communications today. I'd like to introduce the panelists to you. My slides aren't good. There we go. So my name is Liz Southey. I'm co-founder and scientific services director at the Salve Health. We're a medical affairs consultancy specializing in medical communications, working with pharmaceutical clients, biotech, medical devices, and also not-for-profit organizations. When myself and Elena set up the Salve, we knew that we wanted to include pro bono and ESG work from the start, and we've been learning and improving how to do that from the start of the Salve, and we're really excited to be working with quite a few not-for-profit clients and also connecting with Jennie, who will introduce herself shortly, and who's helping us to sort of further our aims in this area. Just a quirky healthcare fact from where I am, which is Cheltenham. Edward Jenner, who started off the field of vaccination, has his office just down the road from me. So I like to walk past there and be inspired in my medical communications every day. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Sarah to introduce herself.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, Peter. I'm hoping my voice is going to hold up. It's almost back to normal, but not quite. I'm Sarah Wynn. I'm the CEO of a patient organisation. So I'm the person talking about the not-for-profit in this conversation. And I'll talk a little bit more about the organisation I run a bit later. But in terms of communication, I have a background in science. So communicating to the general public is something that scientists don't tend to do very well. We're good at talking about to other academics. So there's been lots of learning.
Hi, I'm Jennie Talman. I'm the founder of Passion Partnership. We founded Passion Partnership really to raise the noise levels about pro bono communications across the whole communications sector, but it's really great to be talking specifically to you from the medical side of the world. I started Passion Partnership having spent 17 years running agencies and doing pro bono to varying levels of success. So we made mistakes, but we also had some fantastic campaigns that we ran. And on leaving the agency world, I was passionate about enabling more agencies to share their experiences, learn from each other, and also through Passion Partnership, we help facilitate pro bono partnerships. My sort of vaguely quirky fact, sort of health related, but sort of the antithesis of health, I think, is I live in a bungalow in southwest London, and in my garden I have a small Victorian burial ground. Hello.
Thanks, Jennie. So I think you're, so in terms of what we want to get out of this session, by the end of it, we want you to know what is pro bono work and why it is needed in medical communications. We're going to discuss a little bit about the benefits and the pitfalls of this work from both sides, agency and not-for-profit organisations. And then at the end, we want to inspire you with sharing our best practice tips and how to make it happen in our industry. So I'm going to pass over to Jennie, who's going to take us through what is pro bono.
So I'm sure many of you have heard of the phrase pro bono, and it's sort of a short form of the Latin, which is pro bono publico, which means for the public good. But for our purposes, it really refers to professional services provided voluntarily and without payment, and most usually to not-for-profit, either charity or social enterprises. I think many of you have probably heard of pro bono in the context of the legal profession. This year, I think it's in November, Pro Bono Week will be coming round. It's the 23rd Pro Bono Week organised by the legal profession. And when I came across this, I remember thinking, why have the legal profession got the ownership of pro bono? What about the rest of us? And that was really my impetus for starting Passion Partnership. But interestingly, a number of different professions now have their own pro bono organisations, whether you're market researchers, business analysts, economics, a number of different professions are now adopting pro bono as part of the sort of DNA of their sector. So as you all know, it's a way for you to contribute to communities or causes you believe in, and very much aimed at supporting those who don't have access to the skills and services that are really critical to their success. So why do pro bono? So I've got this book to show, just to show you it is a really good book. If you read one business book or work-related book this year, read this one. Written by John Alexander, who spent 10 years in the advertising profession and then left because he just felt that he wasn't really doing purposeful work. And the essence of his book and his thinking is that the key to fixing everything is all of us. So it's no longer acceptable to rely on governments, NGOs, or basically other people to fix the problems of society. And his book is about establishing a mindset of being a citizen. And I think in the course of this webinar, my appeal to everyone would be, don't think necessarily just about doing pro bono as an agency, but think about you as an individual. And if you want to do purposeful work, find a way of making it happen in your organisation. The work we're doing at Passion Partnership has been enlightening in that we've been able to connect not-for-profits with audiences that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. Many of these not-for-profits don't have any comms function, and by providing them with sort of a timed level of support, they're then able to really evaluate the impact that they can have. And for many of them, it becomes a proof of concept for them to either make a case to their trustees or for foundation funding to then staff up and have a communications function going forward. So at a strategic level, providing pro bono can be very valuable.
And that's exactly what's happened to us. So Passion Partnerships matched us with a comms agency. And the reason we've needed it really is for all those reasons that Jenny has outlined, is that in-house in our not-for-profit, all the money we raise, and it's quite hard to raise money to run our services, goes to sort of frontline services. And at the organisation I work with, Unique, that frontline service is supporting families and individuals that have rare genetic conditions, so rare chromosome and gene disorders, and they can have a really wide range of effects, both medical and psychosocial. And we have members, because these conditions are rare, it's really important we have members from all over the world, so we can match families who have a child with a similar condition. So we have lots of members from all over the world, but we have just a tiny staff. And as I mentioned before, none of our staff are in comms. So being matched by Jenny and Passion Partnerships was just such an amazing opportunity for us to be able to develop our comms, to enable us to speak to more people better and professionalize our services.
Thanks, Sarah. So yeah, also from our perspective as well, doing pro bono is definitely a bit of a no-brainer. Speaking to what Jenny said about it's the right thing to do, absolutely, that's what we felt. We feel it is a good thing to do. It very much, from our perspective, speaks to our values, insofar as I think it communicates something about us as a company, in terms of what we want to achieve and how we want to do that. Internally, we feel that it can very much provide a purpose for what we do. Obviously, all the work that we do is purposeful, but it can really provide that extra piece of purpose. We definitely thought that it would be a way of attracting and retaining staff and motivating the team. And finally, we felt that it was definitely a way for us to use and develop our skills. I think as an industry, medical communications is fantastic in supporting charities, undertaking fundraising events, raising disease awareness, but actually going that one step further in actually being able to use the skills that we've honed over our professional lives is really satisfying. So it's a win-win from our perspective as well. And I think Jenny's going to talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, so why is pro bono a no-brainer? This is my favorite slide. My favorite point about pro bono is it's not about painting walls or making soup. And quite often we have conversations with people, agency leaders who are, very excited about the fact that they painted a playground or a wall in a hospital. And, of course, that's great. But pro bono is really about looking at how can you add the most value and how can you make the most impact. And all of you on this call, I'm sure, are brilliant at decorating, but you're probably even more brilliant at medical communications. So when thinking about pro bono, think about how you can really deliver and add value. And in doing that, I think it really enhances your own self-confidence and your pride in your profession. And overall, I think, particularly in the medical communications world and healthcare communications generally, pro bono often gives you the opportunity to work on a campaign and work with an organization where you really have the opportunity to be very creative, possibly less restricted than you might be when you're working for your pharmaceutical-based clients. So it can be great fun, and you get to use different muscles in your brain that maybe you get to use most of the time at work. So it's a bit of a refreshing experience, hopefully.
And it's certainly been a refreshing experience for us. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about our experience. We've been working with Havas Life MedComms since October. As I mentioned before, Jenny at Passion Partnership sort of date matched us, and we had a first meeting where we met the team at Havas Life MedCom, and really about finding the chemistry to see whether our goals aligned, whether we felt that we could work together, and luckily we did, and we had this great meeting. And I think what's been really amazing about it is that it's delivered much more than we had thought. We thought it was about comms, but of course comms come on top of everything else. So actually they've really helped us to look at our strategy, and we've been doing some strategy development. And one of the things we particularly loved about working with HLM is that they immediately went to our families. So at the core of everything we do at Unique, we are about supporting families with what they want. So we surveyed our families, and there's a little word cloud here where we were looking for information about how our families felt about our organization. They've done some work around producing social media assets for us. This one you can see here is for Rare Disease Day, which was back in February. But all of this has really refreshed not only our output and our brand, but I think all of our staff and ideas about who and what Unique are. Could I have the next slide, please, Liz? And actually this echoes quite a lot of those words that Jenny used already. It's been really creative and fun for us at Unique. We're largely scientists, and perhaps not the most creative or fun people, or at least that's our reputation. So it's been really great to work with a team who are really creative and fun. It's been super collaborative. I don't know whether anyone from Havas are on this webinar, but I'm hoping that their experience is very similar to us. It's been a really engaging, collaborative and dynamic experience. We've been really inspired. So I think we talk a lot about, the good of the people doing the pro bono, but it's really inspiring for us as well to work with professionals who are really good at this whole comms area, which is completely outside of our area of expertise. So it's been a really great, refreshing and amazing experience. And we've explored things that we hadn't anticipated exploring, and they're really trying to take us out of our comfort zone. I would say that's been the one caveat, is that we are quite conservative, often charities, and working with the creative industry is definitely outside of our comfort zone and things they want to push us to do. But it's been really good for us, I think. And here is just another piece of work they've been doing where we're gearing up for our awareness day, and they've been helping us with that.
Thanks, Sarah. It's great to hear your experience, and likewise our experience working with our not-for-profit clients has similarly been very rewarding and exciting and inspiring. So just we've got a few not-for-profit clients here, and you can see some of the projects that we've been working on them with. So Wellbeing of Women, we've been producing a slide presentation. We've just started work supporting the development of an HCP and patient survey, working with an NHS neonatologist and the Milk Bank at Chester. We've also connected with Asthma and Lung UK, looking at their strategic medical communications around their Asthma is Worse for Women initiative. And then via Jennie at the Passion Partnership, we've connected with Restless Leg Syndrome UK, and we're bringing some scientific expertise in terms of looking at literature search and evidence base, and then publication development around iron infusion treatment in that condition. And then also we've been supporting women in pharma to write their Beyond Bikini Medicine white paper and manifesto for change. Again, that's in the area of women's health. And a nice collaboration is that we're hoping to Women in Pharma will be running a webinar, and we've connected them with Asthma and Lung UK to cover this webinar in respiratory disease in women. So a nice little crossover there. And then in terms of again, why has it been a no-brainer for us, is that absolutely sort of echoing what we thought it would do at the start when we set out on this journey. It's very much been borne out in practice in terms of it very much supports our B Corporation credentials. So having the pro bono part of that is very important to us. I've put swapped project experience here, and also next to developing new existing therapy area expertise. And I say swapped because perhaps arrogantly, if I can admit that, I felt that we'd have lots of industry experience that we'd be able to bring to our not-for-profit clients, and actually we've very much learned from our not-for-profit clients too. And like Jennie said, that in areas where it's perhaps slightly less regulated and less compliance driven, I think there's a capacity to undertake perhaps more risky projects, if I can say that. But also we've been able to learn from that and take that experience back to our pharmaceutical clients as well. And yeah, as I said, we've very much developed new therapy area expertise and improved our existing therapy area expertise. And that's very much translated into sort of supporting some of the causes that we're passionate about. Women's health is a real focus for us, and to be able to use our professional skills and improve our knowledge in that area has been fantastic for us. I can definitely say it's attracted staff, and I'm hoping it's retaining staff because we haven't lost anybody yet. So very much mentioned around our, when people reach out to us in terms of our pro bono work together with our B Corporation credentials. That's very much something that people mention, and we feel that it attracts the kind of people that we want to work at our company. And absolutely, it's broadened our network. We've met so many amazing people from the not-for-profit sector, but also new key experts, thought leaders in the area, other pharma colleagues as well. So it's definitely been a real win-win situation. However, there are some things that you do need to consider, obviously, from an agency perspective. So, balancing profit and purpose is the perennial question, really. So, juggling pro bono commitments with regular clients can be demanding. So it is really essential to manage time and expectations internally and externally effectively. Measuring impact is really important. So pro bono work is not just about giving time, but it can provide this impact when we use our skills and experience. But that can be challenging to measure, both for our clients and for us as an internal team as well. And I would say it's perhaps immeasurable in some ways, but that in a good way. So that's something that we're working on in terms of being able to see how what we do can have an impact both internally and externally. And then also just need to consider value as well. Obviously, pro bono and ESG work can give us that chance to contribute, particularly in areas that we're passionate about. But it is worthwhile considering, depending on the area and individuals involved. There might you might not be able to support all causes, or it might not be possible or appropriate to. So that's where I would say having a clear ESG pro bono policy can really help in those kinds of situations. So some more top tips from Jennie.
So these are really just to summarize many of the points we've already made, but I'll run through them because they're important. Know what you want to get from the partnership and be transparent about it. And here I would say, if you want to do a pro bono to win awards, great, but just make sure you explain that to the person you're working with so they can help you win that award. Don't be embarrassed about that. Measure your commitment and the impact you have, we've talked about already. Ensure you're matched with the right partner. And within the partnership, make sure there are two very accountable champions who are making sure that partnership is running to course. Be clear on the boundaries. One mistake that we made once was we forgot to explain to the charity that the partnership was going to run for 12 months. And we had a review meeting and they were very enthusiastic about what we'd achieved and what we were going to do next year. And we suddenly realized we hadn't explained the length of time that we were committing. So be clear on the start and the stop date. Most importantly, resource the work as if they were a paying client. And as we've heard, share the magic among the whole team. When you're doing pro bono, not everyone can work on it, but everybody should be really aware of what you're doing and see the impact of the work that you're donating. And ultimately, of course, be passionate about it, as it goes without saying.
Yeah, and then just from our side as well, just some top tips. Like I said, do have a clear ESG strategy and policy that includes pro bono working to help guide that relationship. Similarly to Jennie, communicate this transparently to everybody internally so everybody knows about it and understands the amount of time they have to give and what that entails. Absolutely treat pro bono clients the same as paying clients as far as possible. We all know that it's tricky in MedComms with conflicting deadlines and juggling workload, but treat pro bono clients in the same way. We do that by having a separate project run through for ESG clients alongside our pharmaceutical clients as well. And part of that, of course, is managing time and expectations effectively. Record and measure what you can. That is a work in progress, as I said. And any ideas about how to measure the impact would be very keen to hear. And I would say and recommend connecting with Passion Partnership, because at the start of our pro bono journey, I would say we probably found it a little bit difficult to get clients. Possibly down to them not understanding what we can do and provide, perhaps being wary of us offering things for free in terms of they weren't sure, if there was a catch. As it happens, we've grown our pro bono clients over the 2 years that we've been running, but connecting with Jennie has been fantastic in putting us in touch with RLS UK as well. And likewise, be passionate about it. We're passionate about all our clients, but it's wonderful when there's something that really, really is something you can be passionate about. Sarah, do you want to add anything at this stage from your side?
I would just say from our side, connecting with passion partnerships is what made it happen for us. As a small not-for-profit, it's impossible to know how to find somebody who would be willing to do pro bono work. So I think it's a really great intermediary to have that available.
Thanks. So yeah, to wrap up, I'm going to hand over to Jennie.
So just to summarize, if you're listening to this, go away and be a pro bono champion in your agency. As I said earlier, it's really about a mindset and about being a citizen for pro bono and for doing some good, not only for your clients, but in the not-for-profit sector. So I would say it's not easy. There are always obstacles to finding the time, particularly in a busy, stretched agency, which many of you probably are. But there are inefficiencies always in agency life. I know that because I've been there. So look at the ways that you can free up a bit of time and just champion it. And even if you can't do pro bono this year and want to, maybe next year, you can have it put into the agency business plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. So any questions?
Okay, cool. And that's how to get in touch with you. So if we can lose the slide, thank you very much, everybody. To the audience that are here today, please do. You've got 2 text boxes, so it doesn't matter to us which one you use. So any comments, questions, or if you are doing pro bono yourself, share some experiences, maybe some ideas as to what you're doing. I know we've got some of the Havas team online at the moment, and they've been saying, or someone said that it was a good thing within the agency, and a lot of people are wanting to join that group and so on. So great to have you with us. Thanks very much. But if there's any other ideas and experiences out there, do share them. I've got a few things are going through my head, and I'm going to take the role of the old grumpy so-and-so in the corners or questioning some of this, if you don't mind, okay? But a couple of things. Firstly, can I just cover off, and in fact, it did come through from Anonymous, but I was thinking the same thing. Liz, you kept mentioning ESG. So this is environmental, social and governance strategy, which is a sort of a terminology that I'm not really very familiar with. Is it very much wrapped up with B Corp and stuff? Or just give me a bit more of a sense of what we're talking about there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So ESG is technically the new terminology for CSR, so corporate social responsibility, but I think it covers a much broader remit. It isn't necessarily wrapped up in B Corporation. Obviously, that's part of it, but ESG covers, environmental, social, and governance. So it's a way of doing better business, or having that linked into your business plan. Does that answer that
and this
question?
fits in. Yeah, I think so. That's great. And speaking as the dinosaur in the room, as it were, I mean, when I ran my little agency, I was desperately trying just to sort of like deliver work on time, on schedule, on budget, sort of thing. Doing business these days, it requires you to do an awful lot, filling in your 100-page questionnaires from your clients about sustainability, or, going through the B Corp process or whatever, or doing your pro bono work. It seems like there's a lot to do that's not necessarily about delivering for your client. And I suppose sitting listening to you talk, I mean, nobody can disagree with what you're saying. I guess I'm just interested in the practicalities from all points of view in terms of, how it works in practice. So I'm going to try and poke you a little bit and try and understand those practical issues, if that's okay. Jennie, I'm going to start with you though. And I'm going to, again, I'm with all due respect to everybody that's listening to this, whatever side of the camp you're on, okay? So Jennie, firstly, a few months ago, I was asked by somebody from an agency, we're really keen on doing pro bono work, Peter, but we don't know who to talk to. And I said, well, I don't know either, sort of thing. I actually quoted, I pointed them at you, Liz, and a couple of other agencies that I know talk about pro bono work, but I said, I don't know. But now I guess, Jennie, I can now confidently say, point them in your direction. That's what you want, isn't it? For agencies to come and talk to you. From the flip side, let's go the other way around. From the flip side, from the not-for-profits that you're matching people with, again, being a little bit provocative, but let's start with Jennie. Are there criteria that you need them to meet in terms of I mean, it's one thing to say that that not-for-profit hasn't got the expertise or hasn't got the budget or hasn't got the whatever, but there's quite a few not-for-profits that have got quite good bank accounts and have got quite good people in there. Is it fair to suggest that there might need to be a bit of a process to say, well, you know, you could actually do this on your own, and no, you really do need some help? You see what I'm saying? Can you just talk around that aspect for a moment? Is that a fair question?
That's a really good question, and one that we talk about a lot in Passion Partnership. And I guess our criteria is really, through pro bono, can an agency have a very important strategic role in the organisation, in that can they provide something that organisation can't get anywhere else, can't afford, but also might inform them as to their future investment in comms. So when we're talking to a not-for-profit, we try and establish exactly what the value is that the pro bono can deliver to them. But as an organisation that matches and mentors partnerships, we don't feel it's appropriate for us to say no to anybody. So if a big charity came to us who arguably can afford support, we equally wouldn't say no to them if there was a particular project that we felt would be really valuable to an agency. So we take briefs from all organisations, with the main criteria being their willingness to engage in a true partnership. And we put the briefs on our website, and then if people are interested, then great. So we really let agencies decide whether or not they want to work for big or small charities, because we don't think that's our job to filter.
Okay, and on the flip side, just sticking with you, Jenny, do you take the same very open approach to the agency side, the companies, you know, anybody can contribute here? Or again, is there a sort of some sort of process that you go through? I mean, I suppose, again, I'd worry that I'd come along to you and go, oh, I want to do pro bono work. And you go, oh, great, that's fantastic. But am I really serious, or am I just trying to put it on my website sort of thing? Again, I'm being, you know what I'm saying? I'm just interested about the policing that goes on in the middle.
Yeah, there is a process. So we start with a chemistry meeting between the two potential organisations, but the main process is filling in a partnership agreement, which is filled in by both parties. And in that, there are questions to both sides that ask, you know, what is the value of the pro bono to the organisation? What is the project you want to deliver? How much time will be committed? What will the commitment be from the not-for-profit? Because they have to commit time as well. Really, every aspect of the agreement going forward is agreed up front. And if that isn't signed by two people who own that relationship, then we don't go ahead. So we do the policing at the beginning, and then, you know, with due respect to agencies, we then, once they've got that agreement, we very much trust them to know what they're doing, but we're then available should there be any things that need ironing out. And then we come in at the end to assess the impact, because that's really important.
Okay. And again, blunt question, because somebody will be wondering, how do you make your money, as it were? How do you pay for your operation?
That's a great question. If anybody wants to donate, no, joke. We charge.
I'd left that one out there if you wanted to. But there's a serious question there as well, isn't there? Right?
I mean, we're a community interest company, so we're not set up to make a profit. Every penny, pound that we get as income goes back into running the organisation. Myself and my volunteers are all volunteers, so we don't get paid. But we do have an income stream, which is from the agencies who are asked to pay a small matching fee. And we're in the process of developing some impact accelerator workshops, which will be paid workshops that will run for agencies as sort of team building / training light workshops. So we're working on the model is the true answer.
Okay, which is fair enough. This is fair enough, but we might as well get that one out in the open. Yeah. And my final question to you, Jenny, I just want to get with the definition, and just get the definitions correct. Is it fair to say when you're talking pro bono, you're effectively talking about free support, yeah, professional support and so on? I just wanted to clarify, when you approach or talk to an agency and go, would you like to get involved in this? Is there just a basic assumption that what you're talking about is time? Or is there, and I'm sure you're going to say it varies in different situations, but I'm going into a pro bono relationship is the assumption I'm giving free time, which might be very valuable, but if there's any third party costs, we're going to charge for it? Or is the assumption that within that agreement, there might well be an allocation of actual funds and resources? Again, is that making sense?
Yeah, and exactly. Pro bono is free services. So yes, it is exactly just time. In the partnership agreement, we stipulate that if there are going to be costs involved in implementing any of the work, that they will be paid for by the not-for-profit. So there's no extra cost. It's purely about
Okay. Whilst recognizing that the cost of time to the agency is potentially very significant, I'm not dismissing that, but that's a clear agreement, is it? So come on then, Sarah, so you get involved in this situation and you see all this sort of free support on offer. But what are the practical problems from your point of view? And as I say, I understand we've got havers online and so on and so forth. So, but let's be honest about it. And more maybe it's all going very well. You've said it's going well, but what are the concerns you have? So for instance, you get involved in a project, everyone's getting very excited that you've said they're very creative, exciting people, and they start suggesting stuff to do, but suddenly there is cost. I mean, how do you manage that aspect? Because you're now very excited and then they go, well, we're not going to pay for it, we're just going to advise you to go and do that. Again, I'm being slightly flippant, but you know what I'm trying to say. I just want to get a sense of your thinking.
Yeah, well, and actually to take a step back, I think one of the things is that it's really easy for us who are working directly with them to get excited, but of course we need to take the whole of our organization with us on this journey. So I think one of the things, and it's probably true from Havas's side as well, is that we get really excited, but we actually have to practically think about implementing these things. And of course, that means talking to our board of trustees and taking them with us. And also, of course, we're a membership organization. We have 30,000 members. So I think probably, and it's a lesson for me as well as Havas, is about just pacing ourselves a little bit, trying not to run before we can walk, and, kind of taking the journey step by step and not completely jumping off the cliff. Because I think while it's creative for us, one of the joys has been seeing how much everyone at Havas has enjoyed it. I think it is, we talked a bit earlier about how it being kind of more freeing perhaps than some of the other work in the agency. And so I think that ability to be creative is also on the Havas side as well. I mean, it's been really extraordinary how many people have been involved and given their time. And it, honestly, I think the challenges are about where the limits are more than anything else for us. It's been such a pleasure.
You're not worried that in 6 months' time they're going to say, that's it, and leave you hanging? I know you've got an agreement, sorry, and your agreement may say a different, but
exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the benefit of having Passion Partnership walk us through it, because from a small organization that has never employed PR or comms before, we wouldn't really know how, it would be a scary jump, but actually because Passion Partnership set up a partnership agreement. And one of the great things, the only time we've done pro bono work before was for sort of one single campaign, which is really fantastic. But what's great about this partnership is it is a real partnership, and the partnership agreement is for 2 years. So in 2 years, there is a lot you can plan for and deliver. So it feels it's a safer place to develop those relationships. But also, I really think that we'll get really good measurable outcomes out of it at the end of 2 years. And we both know that, the kind of timeline, so we can work to that.
Okay. So Liz, go on then. I mean, you're doing a number of projects. You're representing the agency side here as well. I mean, give us a little bit of a sense of what's going through your head. I know it's a good thing to do and all the rest of it, but you've talked about getting the balance right and so on. So, what are the practical problems from your point of view? And in reality, there must be conflict between the paying clients and the pro bono work. So just give us a sense of how you manage that. And do you build it in? Have you got a business plan that says, I don't know, X% of our time will be spent on this, and then you measure yourself against that? I guess that's what you're going to be saying.
Yeah, so absolutely. Without our pharmaceutical clients, we couldn't do the pro bono work. So we can't prioritize the pro bono work above that because actually we need the paying clients to be able to do that work. So it is always a tricky balance. And you're absolutely right. In our policy and in our strategy, we set out a percentage of time that we have available to put towards pro bono. And so when I say pro bono and ESG work, so we also do some work as well at essentially like cost. So we don't make a profit on it, but we're still working with not-for-profits at a where we get paid, but it's at a non-profit making level, if that makes sense. So we have a different rate structure for them as well. So our pro bono work is for free. And also just to connect with the point that you made earlier about like third party costs, like we have actually engaged with freelancers on our pro bono and ESG work, and when we've explained it's that they've either done it pro bono for us or they've charged us at an ESG rate as well. So essentially there's even like this sort of our supply chain as well is helping support the cause. So just to talk about that point. But yes, we do have to measure it in terms of how much how much time we're putting against it, and we do have to work that in into our business model as well.
Okay. Does it count as pro bono work if you talk to your pharma clients and go, we're doing this really nice work over here, and it would be really useful if you gave us a bit of cash that we could sort of oil the wheels there?
No, we haven't done that, but there's definitely, that potential option where we could perhaps ask for like an unrestricted educational grant or funding. We haven't done that, but that has sort of cropped up and is something that we would consider. But of course, that's I think we just have to consider that carefully from a conflict perspective. And also understanding how that would work in practicality.
Okay, Jennie, again, to state the obvious, we're living through difficult, challenging times in agency land at the moment. Any view on whether that's having an effect on the sort of pro bono type ideas that you're talking to people about? I mean, our agencies conflicted, they want to do it, but actually it's really tough times at the moment and we're making people redundant, so maybe we've got to sort of take a bit of a view on this. You got any sense of what the marketplace is thinking at the moment?
It's a real paradox at the moment, because on the one hand, yes, there's all those challenges of running agencies at the moment and the pressures that agencies are under, and at the same time there's a visible desire from individuals working in agencies to do good and to do purposeful work. And we understand completely when we talk to some agencies or when we're looking for a partner for a not-for-profit, we totally get that it might not be the right time for an agency. They might be undergoing change, or they might have just lost a big client or just won a big client. So our vision really is that people at least think and consider and have a discussion about pro bono within their whole team. And if they can't do it now, then make a plan for the future. And I think we have to be pragmatic. Everyone has to be pragmatic about when is the right time to do it.
Okay, I suppose the same question to Liz. I mean, these are difficult times. Are you willing to say whether that's influencing your view on the sort of amount of work you're doing at the moment or could plan for in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've got a great range of not-for-profit clients at the moment, and the types of work that we're doing with them, we can sort of not dip in and out of from a lack of engagement point of view, but they're sort of small discrete projects. But yeah, absolutely, in terms of balancing that against current work as well, we've had to have a think about how to do that. And I think at the moment, we're very happy with the level of the work that we're doing pro bono, and we'd love to increase it in the future. But I think, we're just happy to stay with our clients at the moment, and then look in the future to, hopefully increase.
Okay. Jennie, I'm going to come back to you. Just trying to pick up. Sorry, some of the questions I'm not quite sure are going to work terribly well. We might come back to them afterwards when we've got a few minutes unrecorded. But Melanie was sort of saying, and this is, I don't know how you can answer this, but I'm going to go to Jennie. For Oh, well, actually, okay, I'm going to stick with Jenny. What do you think agencies could be doing better in terms of delivering pro bono work? Let's just keep the questions like that.
Good question. If you're doing it, then I just think that's fantastic.
That's a good step, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great start. I think the main thing is about communication and being really open and honest with your partner as to why you're doing it, and for them also to be really transparent with you. So if you want to do it because you want to get experience in a new sector and win awards, great, say so. Sometimes I think we're sort of embarrassed to say there's a commercial reason, but there has to be a commercial reason because these are hard times. So be open, I think.
And I just to add from the not-for-profit, we're totally comfortable with that. So, you know, it's got to be a partnership, and there's got to be something in it for both sides. It's no good if it was just a tick box exercise or you had a misunderstanding between you. I think most not-for-profits are you know, understanding of the reasons for doing it.
A comment, Liz, no, on that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope in the presentation shown all the sort of the benefits from an agency perspective that we get. And I think there's a lot of other, you know, a lot more benefits aside from it just being the right thing to do. So, you know, we definitely, and with our partnership agreement with RLS, you know, very open that, you know, it was a therapy area that we wanted to get into and develop more experience in alongside other things as well. So it is a win-win from our perspective as well.
Okay. Rose has asked a different question. I can go to a question Rose had asked earlier on in terms of measuring the impact. I mean, that's again a bit of an open-ended question, but again, the cynical side of me would say it's all very well saying measuring the impact, but you know, MedComms aren't very good at measuring at the best of times, and it costs money. You know, and that's one of the problems, and that's one of the reasons I would argue a lot of measurement doesn't go on, because the clients won't pay for the measurement, which is really important, but that's an easy bit to lose. So again, I'm being slightly flippant about all this, but have you got any thoughts on measuring outcomes? Sarah, for instance, I mean, how are you going to measure outcome in the context of what you're doing?
I think it is difficult. We struggle to measure outcomes for all sorts of parts of our work, and I think this is no different. I think because there are so many different strands of the work that are being done, we'll be measuring them in sort of separately depending on what they are. So, for example, we're working with them at the moment on sort of two major things. One is a rebrand, and so that will be measured, I think, by how well that goes and the impact with our members and sort of the wider community. But also we're working on a campaign for Rare Disease Day, and those sorts of things are a bit easier to measure. So we'll measure how well the awareness day goes, and we can compare it to years in the past. I think lots of it, as Liz said, is immeasurable. I think there's a lot of mindset change for us in seeing what things are possible to do and being braver. And I think there'll be lots of lessons that we learn as an organization sort of strategically that are much, much harder to measure.
Jenny, just we ought to be wrapping up tonight. So Jenny, I mean, you're saying that part of the process is having matched people, you're then involved in assessing the impact. So can you just give us a few words? What are the sorts of ways in which people are doing it, and what are the challenges of doing it?
So we do a sort of wrap up evaluation and impact session at the end of the partnership, and look at a number of different criteria on the work itself, but also the impact on both organisations. So, you know, if it's on the campaign itself, it would be very similar to the measurement that we would apply to client work. But important for us is collecting the number of hours that are spent. And one of our ambitions as an organisation is to be able to collate sort of the total sum that has been gifted in any one year by the comms industry, so that we can sort of have a lovely barometer on our website. So that's the purest measurement, you know, in terms of the hours that could have been billed to a client potentially.
Okay, we are a bit over time, so I'm going to draw the line there. I'm trying to read the comments that are coming at the same time. Let's thank you very much. I think this is an interesting topic, and hopefully we've given people food for thought. I'm going to encourage everyone watching this either now or later on the recording to contact you. LinkedIn is an easy way of doing it, or you provided your email addresses earlier and so on. I know you're all very happy to talk to people about your experiences, and Jennie specifically, let's just make that point again. I mean, you are interested in hearing from agencies that want to support pro bono work, sort of thing. So you're exactly the right sort of person to come and talk to. Okay, so look, for today, I'm going to say thanks to everybody. If you're interested in what I'm doing, medcommsnetworking.com, obviously. But if everyone can give us a little wave at the moment, I'll wish everybody a good day. Take care. Bye.